Hi, I'm Emma from Pilates Online. Welcome back. Today is day 6 of our 21-day challenge and we'll be doing some yoga. Now, I want to explain a couple of things before we start. This is especially great if you're new to yoga. I want to let you know that yoga is in fact really about meditation. And if you have ever tried it before and you felt that you may have struggled during the session because perhaps you don't feel flexible enough, I want you to know that yoga should be able to be adaptable for everyone. And you don't need to be flexible. In fact, you ideally are doing yoga to get more flexible. And the actual stretches and exercises in yoga, they're called asanas. They're actually designed for the purpose of getting the body into a seated position more comfortably for meditation. So the actual aim of yoga is to be able to sit for a long period of time while you meditate. So the practices are to create a healthy, flexible, balanced and supple body to enable you to sit comfortably. So that's a little background on yoga. And I want you to understand that all the movements will be able to be adapted for your bodies. So just know that you don't need to feel intimidated at all about doing yoga. Now, for today's session, you're going to need a towel, a big bath towel, okay, decent size one, and perhaps you may even need a pillow or a cushion. I'm using a yoga block, but you don't need a block. You can use a cushion or a puff, or you may even want a little stool to sit on, because we will be focusing a little bit on our seated position today, but we'll also be doing some stretches, so I have the towel as well. So the first thing we'll learn today is how to sit properly. Now, if I turn around and sit with my legs crossed, just like in our Pilates, notice how I've lost my neutral spine. So to sit up tall, normally we sit up on top of our sitting bones so that we get a better neutral. Now, it's really challenging to sit cross-legged for some of us, most of us, without a little lift. Now that could be with a pillow or like I'm using a block, okay, to sit up. Now if you have a look, my spine is in its nice neutral position. I don't even have to hold myself up. My body is stacked now, one block on top of the other. So my pelvis, my ribs, and my chest. So I'm really open through the body. I'm able to breathe easier here. If I'm sitting down like this, notice what happens. My back rounds, my chest collapses. This is very restrictive for my breathing. And you can use a towel, or a blanket. So it doesn't matter what you use, you can prop yourself up. So you can fold that up a couple of times and you can pop that underneath your bottom and get the same effect. So now you see I'm in a nice neutral position. So that's what I want you to make sure you can achieve. If it's not enough, if your knees are tight or your hips are tight, sit on a little stool or sit on something that you do feel more comfortable with, and that's going to be your position while we do a little bit of centering right now. For the body. So when I'm sitting cross-legged, you can either sit your shins crossed like normal, or I just tend to put one foot in front of the other so that my knees drop a little lower than my hips. And ideally that's kind of what you want when you're sitting. If your knees are higher than your hips, then you need to be on something higher. Okay, that's how you're going to determine if you're sitting on something that's the right height for you. So stop the video now if you need to, get your props, get set up, focus a little on setting yourself, and we'll be doing some breathing focus now. So in this position, you shouldn't be straining, you should be comfortable. And I want you just to do a little like a scooping around, releasing of the shoulders, so kind of like a rolling of the shoulders back. You're kind of rolling them open. Then place your hands just on your thighs and touch your index, your pointer finger and thumb together. And this position is what we call a mudra. This keeps in our energy flow, and we'll use this throughout some of the balancing exercises as well during the poses, the asanas, during our practice. You'll see why and how this is very beneficial. If you're not comfortable with that, that's fine. You can also place your hands on your knees, and when you do turn your hands over, whether you keep the mudra or not, just turn from the elbow down so we keep a nice wide collarbone. And in this position, just notice is your chin popping out. Gently drop your chin so you're lengthening the back of the neck. So close your eyes now. We're going to center the body for a moment. Just like we do in our Pilates, we're going to notice the breath, the in breath, the out breath. I want you to relax as you breathe, just normally. There's no right or wrong. There's no forcing of the breath. Just pay attention to the breath. And when we connect to the breath, this brings us into the present moment. We spend a lot of our time thinking up in our head. And when we start to notice what's happening in our body, it brings us out of our head and reconnects us to our body, which so many of us need in our busy lives. I want you to stay relaxed in your body. Your belly's relaxed, your chest and your shoulders are relaxed. And this is the first step to mindfulness, paying attention to one thing. And in this instance, we're using our breath. Our mind and our breath are actually connected. So when our mind is often racing, then our breath can often reflect that as well, and vice versa. If our breath is fast, then generally our mind will be a little bit unsteady. And our focus is to ultimately calm the mind, and that's why we're doing our yoga. So just taking a few moments today to become aware of our breath. And that's all you need to do during your day is for a couple of minutes reconnect to your breath, and that will help calm your mind and also help you to focus. And so now slowly open your eyes and come off your pillow or your block, whatever you're using, and just have your blanket, your towel nearby. Come onto your elbows, and we're going to start by just tucking your tailbone under, flattening out your back a little into the mat. Take your right leg open to the side, and I want you to start to circle your left leg. So we're going to be kind of like we're drawing a circle on the ceiling with the knee. Okay, so it's coming in and going out. So the leg is doing circular movements, like you have a paintbrush on the end of your knee and you're drawing on the ceiling. So this is one of my favorite releases, what we'll be doing today. This is a hip release. Now often we all get tight in our hips, and this one is fantastic to release that tightness. Now as you're doing this, try not to wobble around everywhere. Keep your pelvis stable. And then that same sort of movement in the thigh and the leg is you're going to take your leg up and just swivel in and out, in and out. So it's like a turning of the knee in, turning the knee out. Now the goal here is to soften all this groin area. So if you dig your fingers into where that crease is, you'll probably notice it could be for you tight. I want you to let your leg really relax, like you're almost dropping your leg to the floor. Let it relax and create some space into this joint and really release it. Now, I want you to take your towel, place your foot into the towel and do the same. Now I would use a yoga strap normally. I'm just using a towel today to show you don't need to have any props, but ideally I would be using a yoga strap. So now I'm just doing that same wiggle, in and out, turning in, turning out. Okay, and then I'm drawing that leg while it's soft. So it's not all about stretching right now. It's not about straightening the leg and pulling it. What I want you to achieve is a really relaxed hip. Then bring it towards you. So the difference is, if you just bring your leg straight up and you've got tightness in your hip and you pull it towards you, it's going to feel very jammed. If you release the joint, then you draw it towards you, you'll realize you can get a lot further. Then you can start to straighten the leg a little. And then take that same leg, open it out to the side. Now, you may be flexible enough to not even use the towel, but you have that option obviously to use it. And take the foot towards the shoulder, turning your leg open from the hip. So knees turning out, leg is turning open. Now I'm quite flexible in this now because I've been doing this for a long time. If you can't get that range, like holding the toe and taking it all the way up, don't worry. Your focus is really relaxing. Give the leg a little wiggle, relax it, and take it up with the towel. And then bring it back towards the center and take your towel away, and then just circle again that left leg. Right one will be bent, and just take the left shin over the right knee and draw it towards you. So one hand goes in between the leg, the other hand goes on the outside. So you're in this position. So you're stretching all the outside of that hip. Should feel like a really good release. And then release that leg. And then come back up onto the elbows again. And let's do the other side. So take your left knee open and just scoop, tuck your tailbone under. Start to circle your right leg now. Opening and closing. So again, not wobbling the hips too much, just keep steady. And releasing this right hip now. So if it feels a little grindy, then this is perfect. You need to be doing this one. So it's great if you sit at your desk a lot and your hips get tight. Now take your leg up and do a little circle out and in. So twist out and in. Remember, we don't want tension in this hip and groin area, so just really release it. Now, if you don't get this today, don't worry. It takes a few goes to really get this and release the hip. But when you do, you'll be very grateful. It's a fantastic exercise. Try not even think that your leg is going to drop to the floor. That's how relaxed it is. It's floppy when you're doing this. Then you'll really feel that hip release. Now, do the same with the towel on top, or if you have a yoga strap, that's great. And do a little release. So this particular exercise is more about releasing all the joint, getting it nice and supple rather than stretching the leg too much. We do want to stretch in a minute, but just really release the groin, the hip. Draw it towards you. And if you're flexible enough, you don't need the towel. And then as you do this exercise and the stretch, I want you to focus on your breathing and try and direct the breath into your belly. Just notice your breath. Then take the leg to the outside of your body towards the shoulder. You can be using your strap. Take it towards the shoulder and open out the leg and the groin. Keep your shoulders connected into your back, not up around the ears. It's a really great opening for the groin. And releasing. Now take that leg, do it a little circle. The right leg will circle open again, just to keep that hip release. Then cross the shin over the knee. One hand goes in between the leg, the other hand on the outside, and then hold that hip opening. So watch you're not rolling into the center with that knee you're holding. Just take it to the outside a little and you'll feel a deeper stretch. So keep drawing that leg towards you without lifting your bottom off the ground too much. And focusing on your breathing. Releasing that, and then just grab behind your legs, roll yourself all the way up to seated. So that was our first session of yoga, a very quick introduction to our seated posture, our breathing, and also hip opening. I really advise you to take this one on board because you'll feel a really big difference in your hips and your groin. So I hope you enjoyed that session today. I'll see you again tomorrow on the mat. Thank you so much.